everybody, welcome to another episode of In the Kitchen with Lisa. I am personal chef Lisa Spampinato, and today I've got a great recipe for you. It's something that is really simple, that can go from being a really hearty dinner into some nice leftovers the next day. So you're going to kind of stretch your ingredients and stretch your budget a little bit to get more out of what you bought. And I don't know about you, but right now in this economy, you know, every little bit helps. So I've got some beautiful chicken here, and it's on the bone and the skin is still on, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit in a minute. And this recipe is called roasted sticky chicken. It's actually a personal chef recipe that I got from one of our chefs in Texas, and my clients absolutely love it, and I use it for my dinners and dash parties too. It's really quick and really, even the kids like it, so you can't go wrong. And it's basically chicken. You can either use a whole chicken or chicken on the bone, or even turkey breast, or just, you know, chicken cutlets, and some seasonings. And let's talk about the seasonings a little bit. We've got some kosher salt here. Then I've got some onion powder and some garlic powder, some white pepper, some regular ground black pepper, some thyme, and then the star of this is a smoked paprika. And not only does this give this chicken a beautiful color, but the smell and the taste from that smokiness and the paprika is incredible. And it really takes this from being just a plain roasted chicken to being something really special. So I've gone ahead already and patted my chicken and just kind of dried it a little bit, because it's going to help those spices really stick to it a lot better. And I've preheated my oven to between 200 to 300 degrees, depending on how long you're going to bake it, because this is a slow baking chicken. So if you have about 5 hours, go ahead and put your oven on 200 degrees. If you've got maybe 3 hours, you can put your oven on 300 degrees and kind of go from there. But again, a no-brainer. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mix all my ingredients. I've got about 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt, and then I'm going to add to that about 1.5 teaspoons, or actually I'm sorry, about 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder. And then I've got 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. And then I've got 1/4 teaspoon of the white pepper. And then I've got about 1/2 teaspoon of the black pepper. And then I've got 1/2 teaspoon, maybe 3/4 teaspoon of the thyme. Okay. And then the last ingredient is the smoked paprika. And I've got about 1.5 teaspoons of the smoked paprika because I really like it. But you know what? You can vary it to your taste. And if you can't find smoked paprika in one of the regular spice aisles, sometimes you can find it in specialty stores, and they all look different. Here's one of them that I use. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and mix all that seasoning together. And you're going to see it's going to give me a really pretty, almost like a pinkish color. Okay. Once that's blended all together really well, I'm just going to go ahead and coat my chicken with it. And you know, a lot of times I'll mix in some legs and some thighs, and here I'll do the whole chicken as well. And you want to make sure that you get both sides and coat it really well. And you also want to push it under the skin. And I mentioned before about leaving the skin on. You can take the skin off if you don't like it, but that skin is what helps this chicken baste and stay moist, so that it's almost fall off the bone but still really moist when you're done cooking it. So it can handle the cooking all day, because that fat is going to melt and keep basting your chicken for you. Okay, so let me just go ahead and get this rubbed in really well. Okay. Good. Get it under the skin too, and cover it. Get on the underside too, and you're going to get a lot of flavor from the bones that are still in this chicken. So that's why I use the bone on, because you get a lot more flavor from it. Okay, so this is going to go into my oven for a couple of hours, but first, before I do that, I've got one more ingredient that's going in here, an onion. Now, if I was making the whole chicken, I would stuff the onion in the chicken cavity. But since we're doing pieces here, which is sometimes a little bit more friendly, family friendly and guest friendly, I'm going to take the onion and cut it into quarters or pieces and just throw it in the pan. And that's going to add some more flavor to that chicken for us. Okay. And the nice thing about this is you can save the drippings and make a nice gravy from it. You could throw some carrots and some celery in there like you would with a whole turkey and serve it on the side, or use it all to make a nice soup when you're done. So I've gone ahead and we're going to pretend that it's like hours and hours later. And I've taken the chicken out of the oven, and hopefully you guys can see how absolutely gorgeous that looks. It's nice and brown and soft and oh, just smells so amazing. And you can see the onions have kind of gotten a little dark on the ends and really melted down to give this a lot of nice flavor. And there's a lot of juice left in that pan, and I can either use that to make a nice soup or a nice gravy. So normally I would serve this for dinner. I'd have this and I'd have some kind of rice or something and a nice vegetable, and that's a great weeknight easy meal. I could have been gone all day while it was cooking low in the oven, come back and pretty much dinner's ready. But the way I cook, I always have leftovers. So we're going to pretend that these are leftover, and we're going to turn this into a lunch for tomorrow or a nice salad. So I'm going to go ahead and take one of these, and I'm going to remove some of the skin, and that's nice and crispy, by the way. And I'm just going to cut this up for chicken salad. I'm going to take it off the bone, and I'm going to save these bones actually for soup stock. So in there it goes. Just going to cut my chicken up. Nice bite-sized pieces, because there's nothing like, you know, eating a nice sandwich and having a piece of chicken hanging out of your mouth. Not a good plan. This is also something that would work really well if you wanted to make like a nice chicken pot pie. Just use one of your store-bought pie crusts and bake it for about 10 minutes in your oven before you fill it. And then you can just add your ingredients and freeze it if you don't want it that night. So again, if you kind of think ahead, you can really stretch your meals out to give you a lot more food for during the week or for other times. And that's going to save you time cooking too. So just a little forethought can go a long way. So I'm going to go ahead and save the rest of this because I am going to make soup. So I'm going to add some vegetables to this later. So let me put it off to the side. And in here, we've got all of our beautiful chicken all chopped up, ready to go. Beautiful color too, because it's nice and golden on the outside. And what I'm going to add to this is I've got some craisins, which is like a cross between a cranberry and a raisin, dried, and pistachios, because those are my favorite. Nice and salty and crunchy. So you've got some sweet, you've got some salty, you've got all the seasonings from your chicken. So you've really got a nice chicken salad now that's going to pop. It's going to be pretty in color, and it's going to be full of flavor. So you're just going to kind of guesstimate how much you want to add of each. Okay, let's get some of those craisins in there. And you know, if you don't like pistachios, use another nut. Use some almonds or some pecans. A little bit of fresh ground pepper. A little bit of salt. And you know, you don't really need a lot because there was salt in the seasoning from the chicken before. And then a little bit of mayo, and it's that simple. So now we've had already one weeknight dinner, and now we've got a great lunch for the next day. And the fixings for soup for the day after that if we want. So, and this is the kind of thing that I would probably serve on a nice fresh croissant or a nice medium to soft bread. I don't think I'd put it on a bread that was too crusty because you're going to be fighting it. So I've gone ahead and added a little bit more mayo to our chicken salad, and it's looking beautiful, full of color and full of flavor. And I've got here some really nice, fresh, buttery croissants. And again, you know what? If you buy these in bulk, just package them up and keep them in your freezer, and they'll keep for quite a while. So I'm going to go ahead and have a sandwich, and I'll let you guys know how it is. That's a pretty big sandwich, actually. I'll probably cut this in half. Otherwise, we'll be here all day. And you know, this doesn't have to be just for you guys. This could be something that you make for guests. This would make a nice luncheon item. Whoop, you can see I'm already losing half of it there. Okay. Yum. Oh, that's really good. It's nice and full of like a little bit of salt and a little bit of sweet and a little bit of crunch. And then that with the contrast of the buttery croissant is really good. So thanks for joining me again. And if you guys would like this recipe or the recipe we did right before this, or any other recipe, please contact us at viewermail@jtv.tv.